So a lot of the book for me, or a lot of where I went in terms of my own understanding, was trying to, Western dualism, go step through Western dualism into a more non-dual framework. So you could see that the aliens that appear in these abductions are somehow like aspects of the human psyche, and yet also may have their own independent or interdependent reality with us. And there's really not anything in the main kind of literature of the alien abduction phenomenon that suggests that it is a legitimate alien species that has its own kind of civilization that's really distinct from us. I mean, people go on the ships, there's like nothing there, like some blankets on the floor and like a weird light. It's almost like they only exist in relationship to this phenomenon and this practice. I look at it from a lot of different respects in the book. I talk about its connection to like fairy world experiences and gnome and goblin experiences. I also really like a whole thread that came from like William Irwin Thompson and Rudolf Steiner, where you could, if you could look at fairy tales as sort of aspects of the kind of physical history of the planet put into metaphorical language, so that you could see like the old story of the fairies versus the gnomes, representing like the kind of emergence of creatures of air out of like creatures of earth and darkness, being kind of like the split when certain bacteria or celled organisms began to photosynthesize, and the cyanobacteria was kind of pushed underground because it couldn't breathe oxygen. So then there was like a whole pollution crisis, and the nature of the planet changed. And so there may be almost like a bacteriological level to this alien abduction stuff. I mean, to me, it's almost like they're kind of like a bacterial sort of predators, or some kind of viral phenomenon on the level of human consciousness. That it's almost like they're trying to like attach themselves to our psyche, and they kind of, but also if you look at like goblins and gnomes, like the whole Rudolf Steiner perspective on them is that they're incredibly cunning. Like they have, even though they're just holding themselves together out of matter, they exist in a very different way than we do. They have this like very strong intelligence and kind of cleverness and cunning. So it's almost like this whole alien abduction scenario is a kind of narrative or dream story that's been like prepared to like lure us into a certain kind of trap, and they've kind of threaded it into popular culture. I mean, there's a whole trajectory to the story, from like the 50s when people would just see these UFOs in the air. 60s, we began to have the contact, and the contact deepened, and the hypnotherapist would kind of isolate and articulate different potentials within the phenomenon. So it's like a whole event that's happening in the human psyche, that there's no, you can't talk about it in the New York Times, you can't talk about it on CBS in any kind of deeper way. I feel that my book really did offer a step forward in terms of how we could think about it, but it's not something that breaks down in sound bites so easily.